Welcome back to Little Rounds by Agaya. Last episode we have hosted Dr. Omid and spoke more in deep about early intervention and child development. And today itself we are back with our therapist Asma, Sally and Noura. Welcome back and thank you again for coming to this session. In this session we will be speaking more in depth about what will really happen in the treatment in sessions, because for sure after the first two episodes that we explained a lot about like the perspective of the therapist and how the therapy is important for child development and all of that. So now I think it's better we go more in depth with them. So to better understand this, we're speaking about how really the therapy begin, because we need to make it clear to all the parents about what happens after they visited a doctor, like Dr. Omid's pediatrician, what happens after that. So I think this question that if you allow me that I can ask all of you about it, like how really the therapy begin.
Yeah, so hi Amir. How are you?
Hi, Asma, hi.
So for me, I think the therapy begins when the parents start noticing that there is something concerning about their child. So either when the parents start to notice like he's not really developing as the other kids of the same age group, or comparing the child to kids in the family, or maybe sometimes when they get a concern from the nursery or from the school, right?
Yeah.
So it's very, very important for us as therapists that the parent see the concern and understand that there is something that they will need some support with, okay? Then they will reach out to us. So it starts at that point, and then they reach out to us at Agaya for whatever reason, if they're concerned about speech delay, or if they're concerned about fine motor or writing, or psychomotor needs, or physiotherapy needs. And then we see them, and then we start assessing the child and planning the therapy, putting the goals and working on the therapy goals, and monitoring the progress and reporting the progress. So this is
it will always start with the main concern. So let's say he's not talking, so he will they will come to the speech, and then you will see that if any need for any further team to join.
Exactly. Okay. So for us it's important because it's also part of our clinical goals. We always ask the parents, like, what's your concern and what do you would like to achieve from therapy? Okay. It's very important for us to know this, right?
Yeah, it also starts with building trust, and safety with the parents and the child. Because if the child doesn't feel, motivated and happy to come into our sessions, nothing will work. As well as the family. The family needs to feel supported and understood. So yes, it starts with their concerns, but also with building this a safety with both the family and the child.
Definitely.
Okay, so we understand that first they will come to a therapy and all of that. But we have a question, and usually I have this question asked a lot by doctors or teachers and even parents. What type of assessment are you using? So usually when we are speaking about like children refer to our centers and all of that, and we say that we have speech, we have OT, we have psychomotor, or even psychologists. They always, the first question is, what type of assessment you have? Can you please explain more, or tell us some assessments?
Yeah, so there's different kinds of assessments that we use, and each of us have our own assessments. I'm not going to bore you with a list of standardized assessments that we use.
We have a lot,
exactly.
For sure.
But the concept is that sometimes it's appropriate, like we'll meet the child, we'll meet the parents, we'll know what concerns they have, and we'll be like, okay, for this child, it's important that we do a standardized assessment to set a baseline to compare to other children their age. Other times, we meet the child, we meet the parents, and we understand the concerns, and it's like, if we do a standardized assessment for this child, it's not going to be as useful as if we do a functional one, right? Where we actually see how the child is functioning in their space, right? Because sometimes standardized assessments are stressful. they don't give us the best picture of what the child actually can do. So there's different types of assessments. So one is a standardized assessment. Another is we do more like clinical observations and like a functional assessment. So we kind of focus on the areas that the parents told us these are our concerns, and we look at them from different perspectives to see why, like what's going on. And then finally, part of the assessment is also the parent interview. Like I think sometimes that's overlooked a lot, but that's very important. Like understanding really what's going on, what's happening at home, what's happening at school, like that kind of like, sometimes people will call it a caregiver questionnaire, but sometimes it's just a conversation with whoever's taking care of the child.
And we don't just look in the assessments or in the observation at just if the child completes a task or not. We look at how they do it. So are they frustrated? Are they not regulated? Are they avoiding tasks? Do they need constant support? So these observations, we rely on them a lot. Sometimes you can even get from an interaction with the child more than the test itself. So we don't just rely on standardized assessments.
Like I had an example actually recently where I was doing a standardized assessment, and the child did amazing on the standardized assessment. Like all of their skills were incredibly good. But then we switched it from so the one I was doing was the BRE, and we have to copy pictures, right? So you're copying drawings, and it's to check visual motor skills. And I switched it from, and it helps us with handwriting. It's like, it's part of handwriting. It's very important. So I switched it from the pictures to letters, and the child was lost, right? So and I wouldn't have seen that until I did like a writing assessment. Because like, I was like, oh, okay. So it's the letters themselves that are the trouble. It's not the visual motor aspect. And that's,
so if the assessments is all about like as you're saying, the functional test and a parent, so how can we reflect what really the therapy session is? Like, is there any reflections that we can show? I know if we were reflected, it will be just maybe all of us playing a game or choosing pictures or doing drumming and all of that, because this is the functional work. But is there any way that we can really describe how really a session is like?
So your question is, what does the speech or any therapy session look like? It looks like a controlled chaos. Like if you look from outside, especially, of course, it depends on the age of the child. It depends on the goals that we have set for the child. But especially because we mainly work with the little ones or preschoolers, for them it will look like play. Completely. We're just sitting there and playing, but it's very purposeful play. So we will have our goals, and then we will choose the toys and the activities that the child will enjoy to achieve the goals that we have in mind. So some of the kids who are a little bit older or have different goals, we will not use like the same type of play or toys with them. We might use like more advanced approaches, like for speech therapy, for example. We have some multisensory approaches like prompt or oral placement therapy, which is some specific approaches where we will help them to be more aware of their articulators on how to pronounce or produce some of the speech sounds if they're not able to. Some of older kids, we will use maybe reading activities with them or more like board games. So it is mainly play. And then it will be different a little bit based on the child age or the goals that we are working on.
Is therapy just a play?
Okay, you wanted to ask. Okay.
Because I felt that you will answer my next question. So let's use the time and I ask you that.
So that's the thing, because you'll have cases where parents or even like other professionals sometimes, right? They'll come to you and be like, "Oh, my kids, the kid's just playing with you." I'm like, part of being a child is playing. That's the most important skill they have. Like everything that we've learned is children play the most through play, whether it's playing independently, whether it's playing with others, that's where they learn all their skills, right? So when we see children that are having trouble learning skills, they usually have trouble playing, right? So sometimes play is the therapy, and that, like Asma said, we're meeting other goals, but sometimes the play itself, like teaching a child how to play, like bringing that kind of concept to children, in itself is like therapeutic because sometimes they don't know how to play, right? And so like I said, like it's not, like Asma said, it's like we use play in very specific ways to set very certain goals, and like a board game can do 10 things, right?
Yeah.
More than 10 things, right? It can be, we're learning how to follow directions. We're learning how to follow rules. We're learning how to win and lose. We're learning how to pick up little pieces and move them on the board. We're learning how to count. We're learning colors. Like, it depends on what it is, right?
Yeah.
So play is huge. And even for older children, like problem solving skills, like all of these things, like there's so much that goes on. So when your kid comes back and they're like, I had so much fun, I played so much, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We want them to have fun. We don't want them to come to therapy and be like, oh my God, this is so stressful.
Yeah. So
because that's not going to be helpful.
yeah, exactly. Because, like play is the most natural way for a child to learn. It is the easiest way for them to learn. Okay. So I'll usually when parents ask me, like, because you will see it all the time, especially when the parents attend the session for the first time, even if we already set expectations that we will be mostly playing with the child and so on.
Yeah.
They will still have this question in mind when they watch you play with bubbles or something. I was like, is this what I'm paying for? Like, she will play with bubbles and blocks and that's it. So I explain it to them using my sister as an example. So I will always tell them, see, my sister is a very good mom, okay? She tries so much to feed her kids healthy, right? But kids, they don't like healthy food,
Yes.
right? So they love pancakes. She will make pancakes and she will put carrots and zucchini in the pancakes. And they love it so much, but they don't know that there's zucchini and carrots inside. So this is what we do with play. It's like hiding vegetables in pancakes. So we have in our mind engineered goals that we want to work on, or we have clinical goals in mind that we would like to achieve, and we hide them in the pancakes, which is play.
Yeah.
So the child will feel like, oh, this lady, she cares so much about giving me things I'm interested in, or the toys that I enjoy, or going to this place is fun, because it's very important, right? Because if they will feel like it's very structured or boring, they will be resistant to come, right? So this is why we always use play, and it's very, very effective.
Like unfortunately, there is something that I feel sometimes goes on, and I don't know if you guys have seen this too, where parents feel like if my kid had fun, maybe they didn't work.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
Like
guilt
But
feeling
actually it worked, because
Exactly.
if the kid
Exactly.
having fun, you manage to analyze what his skills and all of that, and
but sometimes it's you get that question from parents of like, but did they really do anything, because it seemed easy for them?
Well,
I'm like, it wasn't easy for them.
I think the best way to answer this is for you to answer me what parents will expect from you.
Okay, parents should have like support, should expect support, should feel supported, should feel understood. They should expect from us, very clear explanation, no technical and scientific words, and very clear goals and simple and realistic goals for their children. And they are part of the team, so we don't just work with the child, we work with the parents as well. So usually when we put our goals, the goals that we need to target with the children, parents have a say in this too. So we put the goals usually together. A regular feedback from their therapist about the sessions. So yes, it should feel not confusing, more collaborative.
I just heard you now saying that you need also to explain to the parents what they have to do because they are part of that. So can we explain furthermore about what is the role of the family, in the therapy?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, definitely. But I'm asking you this question because in a lot of time we see that parents understand that they will bring the kid to you, and then they go have their coffee or whatever, and then you need to do everything. Yeah. So that's why this question is very important,
thing, right? If I saw a child 5 days a week, which is unbelievably unrealistic, but 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, the child is still spending more time with their parents, right? There will never be a point where I'm spending, or there should never also, just to be clear, it's not that I'm advocating for more, there should never be a point, that I'm spending more time with a child than their parents, ever, right?
Yeah.
So the work has to happen at home.
Yeah.
And also the child is the most themselves, hopefully, at home, right?
Yeah.
So like as much as we do, what we're doing is kind of like starting the process, and we're handing it over to the parent, like, okay, we did our hour and we're handing it over to you that you're going to do the next part.
Yeah.
And it always has to be collaborative. It always has to be, and something Noura said that's very important, it has to be simple. Because the other thing we have to understand is parents can have multiple children. They have jobs. They have a million things going on. It's not easy, especially in this day and age, right? So we have to keep it simple of being like, here's one small thing that you can do with your child that you're seeing them every day that's going to help them. Here's one change in the conversation that you can have with your child, instead of telling your child, all right, come down now, we're leaving, and your child having a meltdown, instead of being like, all right, we have 2 more minutes before we leave, and giving them that warning, and then come down, and now there's no tantrum, right? Like, it's simple, small things that we can provide to parents that if you follow up with it, that's when you're going to see change. If you send your child to therapy and you expect they're just going to do the therapy and you're going to see this giant change, or we're going to send them to therapy, they're going to do 10 sessions, they're going to meet all their goals and everything's going to be fine. It's unrealistic.
No, that's not going to happen. See, like Sally said, the parents need to look at us, okay, to make it very simple, like music teachers, or like if you're taking your child for a piano lesson, okay, so usually it's once or twice a week maximum, right? They will go there, the piano teacher will teach them the things. If they go home and they will never practice, they will never become a musician, even if their coach is literally Mozart, okay? So it doesn't really matter how good is your therapist if you don't follow everything at home, if you don't practice at home, if you don't carry over at home, you will never learn the skill in the same, and we as therapists can tell the difference. We can tell the difference in progress.
When the family is part of it and helping you for that.
And like Sally said, we don't teach the family hard things because we don't ask you also to do like 45 minutes session at home every day with your child. No, we will tell you things that are very simple and blend it into your natural daily routine. Okay, so it doesn't feel like it's really hard to achieve. But it's key, the family role is sometimes more important than the therapist if it's done right.
Going more deeply about that, can we also explain further more about the progress, how the progress can, and after same time when we speak about progress, we speak about is it gonna last forever or no? And these two questions, actually it's two questions, but I think that we need, if someone will answer that one part, need to answer the same, the last part. So can we please have your input for that?
So progress is not always like huge and too fast and too quick. So we don't usually see like a big change in the skill directly. What we see is, for example, if the child is usually avoiding activities or switching from one task to another, and now he's sustaining his attention longer, he's engaging more, that's huge progress for us. For example, if he has big emotional reactions and now he's able to calm himself faster, that's a huge progress for us. So it's mostly about the small steps and the small things that the child does. This is what actually progress looks like. And the other question was about if therapy will last forever. Well, the main goal of therapy is for the child not to need our help anymore. This is the goal. This is actually the point of it.
Well said.
So we want the child to be independent. This is what the focus is all about. But it all depends on his needs, on consistency. So a lot of factors play a role here for how long therapy will take.
And like Noura was saying, therapy is goal-based. Like we are creating goals, like that's the assessment process that we talked about in the beginning and the interview process with the parents. The point of that is that we create realistic goals that your child can achieve. And once those goals are met, there's two scenarios that happen, right? It's either that's it, we're done, or it's how about we see if there's anything else going on, right? Like if there's still any more concerns, right? So that's the timeline wise. And progress it's not the same for everyone. Like that's the real answer, and it's difficult. It's a difficult answer sometimes, and sometimes actually what you'll see is there'll be a lot of progress, and there'll be like a couple of weeks where it's like, what's going on, and then parents will immediately go, my child regressed. No, that's normal part of progress.
Yeah.
Your child is learning how to use these skills in a different way.
Exactly.
It's not, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming for the second session, and for sure there is a lot of sessions will happen. Thank you everyone who's watching this episode. If you didn't watch the first 2 episodes, please go back to our channel and check them. You will have all our social media there in the description below, and thank you again.